don't want to be, most people don't have their thingy thing on anyway, their cameras on anyway for this. So uh, I'm just gonna share. There we go. Yeah. So if you don't want to be um, your voice or whatever on there if you're going to talk. So anyway, today is about if functions and checkboxes. And if you're joining a little bit later, thank you all for coming. And I know I sent that reminder out a little bit late yesterday. I'm not a good marketer. I'm gonna have to have some automation. I mean, I'm really good when I first publish it. I'm really good, but then as it comes closer to the time, I'm like, "Oh, I need to remind people because people are busy." But thank you all for coming. So this was really great to see you all again. So today, after the session, I would love it if you went in and gave us a review. And the main reason that we do these sessions is so that you invite us to come out and speak at your group, whether that's your work, your department, whether you're in some kind of condo, not condo, my gosh, board, was I have condo board in my mind, some kind of association, accountants, like HR people, something like that, community league. I don't know. But if you have us come out and talk to you, we can either come out in person or we can do a session like this. You give us the topic and and uh and we can, again, no promises until we talk a little bit more with you about it. But yeah, please. Okay. I'm going to give you a file here that it is on my website. Sometimes it's just easier if I put it in the chat though. I'm going to download that twice because it complains when I open one and when you um, do it. So I'm going to drag that into the chat and send that to you. Which one was that? That was number 5. So I'm going to open number 4. You can see I was playing with it yesterday. I was on a session called Sheetcast. There's a program called Sheetcast, and it's amazing for the last 3 mornings. So, okay. How many of you have some experience with ifs and checkboxes are fairly new. Oh, there's Sheetcast. Go away for now. Thanks. We're done for today. And this is Copilot in case you wonder what this little guy is here. How many of you just say if you have had any experience with if? So put if in the chat if you have, and checkboxes, ifs and checkboxes, or none, or I don't know. I don't know. So just put that in there. Okay, very little, good. Um, yeah, yeah. Checkboxes are fairly new, but they're so cool. I hope you're going to get a lot out of this. So I'm going to just demonstrate a little bit here. If you are in the if and checkboxes exercises, let me know if you need me to send that again, but it should be in the chat. I don't think anybody joined after that. This is actually a real estimate. I got my motorhome serviced many years ago. Well, in 2019, probably. I probably never updated that date. And they gave me, it didn't look like this, but it was a really good example. Now, I've got a whole bunch of formulas in here, but I don't really want to talk about all of those right now. Uh, because that's not really where we're going with this. But what I want to just talk a little bit about is this right down. Come on. Where is my pencil? There's my pencil. How come I can't? Am I sharing the right screen, you guys? Which screen am I sharing? Am I sharing my Excel screen? No. Okay. That would be why. Wrong screen. There. Sorry about that. So you missed my fancy PowerPoint and everything then. There's my PowerPoint. Sorry about that. Yeah. So Anyway, here we are, ifs and everything. So, yeah, we are in this one here, and grab that annotating. I could tell right away because I wasn't I didn't have my little pointer there. This is what we're interested in right here. So GST. Um, so you know, if we were to do this, it would just be something simple like I'm just going to zoom in a little bit on that. Nah, no, my thing doesn't work. I'm going to just take equals, let me equals, and I would take the total before tax and I would multiply it by this 5% up here, or I could just type 5% in or whatever, right? That's that formula. That's GST. Now, sometimes that's zero, sometimes that's 12%, sometimes that's whatever. In this example I'm going to give you, it's just all or nothing. Either it's 5% or it's nothing. Okay. So there's another day that we'll look at with GST or with tax or whatever that can pull out the tax based on something, maybe based on maybe up here we put the person's postal code, not postal code, um, province in or something like that. Anyway, I don't want to confuse you too much with that just yet. So this one is, that's just the formula. That's all I really wanted to show you is that's the formula for tax, is to take the subtotal, multiply it by a percent. I'm going to go down here to estimate completed. Now I've already got a formula in there, but what I wanted just to show you, just wow you a little bit before we get started is the GST exempt. You guys see that there? The GST exempt checkbox. Now it has that 5% as well, but notice right now it's clear. So if it's clear, and for those of you, because I think there's some out of country people here. Hello, Donna. GST is just a tax. I don't know if you're familiar with that or not, but tax exempt, yes or no. If it's clear, it means they're not exempt, which means they pay. If I click on that, you guys ready for it? Oh, look down there. Look down there what it did. It cleared it. So it said, no, it's not exempt. I mean, sorry, it is exempt, so there's no tax. So this is the functionality of a checkbox. This is one of the many things that we'll do to it today. If it's on, think of it as being true. So it's checked, which means it's true. And I don't want you to look at the label there. Well, I guess you could. Yes, we're GST exempt, which means no tax, but that's okay. Yes, we're GST exempt. If it's clear, it's false. No, we're not GST exempt. So think in your head today, so it's noon here. Think in your head today how many ifs you've done today. How many ifs? Oh, I'm wearing a long-sleeved sweater today. Why? Well, if it's cold, I'm going to wear a sweater. If it's not, I'm not going to wear a sweater. Well, how do I determine if it's cold? Maybe I'm saying, oh, I looked at the temperature, and if it's greater than blah, 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 I'm going to wear a sweater. Otherwise, no. So I want you to think about those three things as we go along. So if I look down here at my formula, you can see it in your formula bar here. And I don't know if you've looked at that too much, but equals, and we don't have to type this, but let's just take a look at it. If J9, what's J9? This guy here, J9, right, is your checkbox. If it's true, then the tax is zero. If it's not true, then that means that they pay. So they're not GST exempt, which means they pay. So that's when we do the formula. That was the formula that was in the first one. That was just, yeah, here's the tax. So we're going to go through that slower, but I just wanted to wow you a little bit with that. If you're trying to follow along and you're, oh my gosh, it's going too fast. How'd you get that? Don't worry about it. I just wanted to wow you a little bit. So what do you guys think of checkboxes so far? And ifs? It does something. And you don't have to get it to do anything. right? You don't have to get it to do anything. You could be going along and you could say, oh, I'm keeping track of people, right? Um, and I'm going to keep track maybe if they're Canadian or not. Canadian, right? I'm going to go, I'm going to put Joanne, I'm going to put Donna, and I'm going to put Faye, right? And I'm going to, here's how easy it is to put checkboxes in. Select the cells, insert, checkbox. Now, at this point on your Excel, if you don't have checkbox, it's probably because you don't have Microsoft 365. Do any of you not have that checkbox option? Anybody not have it? Hopefully you do today. So again, you don't have to use checkboxes to do anything fancy, right? Maybe these are the people that you're putting in Canadian. Yeah, Joanne's Canadian. Oh, Donna's not. Oh, Faye is. Done. You don't have to do anything with it, right? Nothing. You don't have to do anything. But then you could do cool like things down here, like you could say total Canadians, and you could. There's something called count if we get a chance to talk to if we get a chance at the end today, then maybe we can explore that. But there's something called count if, so you could say count all of the checkboxes that are true, and so it would come up with a 2. And so Faye moves to Mexico. Now it would change to 1. And Donna moves to Edmonton to hang out with me. Now it would go back to 2. Oh, Joanne's moved to Mexico, blah, 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 blah. So there's so many options on that, but I just want you at the end of this, just even to just use the check boxes just for making it easy for somebody to type in, right? And it looks really cool when you print that too. Some of you might use this for surveys or forms or something like that, right? When I click on that, look at my formula bar. We're going to be doing lots of that today. Look at the formula bar up here. It says false. If I click, that's mine. I don't have it chosen. Donna's is true. Faye's is false. I click on Canadian for me and Donna, no. Donna's now false. True. So nobody typed that in there, right? Nobody typed that in. It just did it. It's so cool. Checkboxes have been around for a long time in Excel, but they were never, ever this cool. Never, ever this cool. So I'm very excited about that. Okay. That was your little intro. I'm going to go any questions with that? At the bottom here, I've got estimate. I've got estimate completed. I've got employees if, and that's where we're going to start here. So my idea here is that we'll do a couple. Well, there's 2 ifs in here just to get you to practice ifs. And then employees if checkbox, we're going to do something a little bit different. So we're going to go on to employees if. How do you insert the checkbox? You select. So I'm just going to go back to that one. You just select wherever you want them to go. Oh, I have to clear them. Select wherever you want them to go. Maybe it's just one cell, maybe not. Insert checkbox. Insert checkbox. Yep. And I think that you can drag that down to, yeah, you can drag it down. So if you had another person or whatever, or you can copy and paste or whatever. Yeah. And I'm sorry, Daphne, if you don't have that, then you might not have the same version of Excel. So this is also the first time I've ever taught checkbox because I've been teaching ifs for 100 years. Okay, employees if comp, that's completed. This is just an idea of what this thing is supposed to look like at the end. So we're giving them raises. Got some instructions on the side. We're giving them raises if they have been with the company more than 10 years or 10 years or more. There's a cool little formula in the years of service that figures out if they've been here more than 10 years. Okay. Um, so we're going to give them a 5% raise if they've been there more 10 or more years or 3% otherwise. So I'm going to go back to employees if. And here's the raise. Now, the first thing I usually do with all of these things is make it a table. Tables are so fantastic. I'm going to go kind of in the middle of that. I'm going to go Control T to make it a table. And it makes it a table. Might have to readjust some things. Okay, raise. So if I just gave everybody a 5% raise, what would the formula be? I just want to go through this first so that I don't want to complicate it with the if. I would say equals the first person's salary, which is 5,000. Because it's a table now, it says salary. Otherwise, it would say E, whatever that cell is, 8 or whatever it is, times 5%. Now, if I have the 5% out in a cell somewhere, that's actually a little bit better. But just for simplicity today, and because of that, I'm just gonna type the 5% right in. So that is just how to just do the formula, right? Okay. This is kind of an intermediate level session today, so I'm gonna go through like the formatting and stuff fairly quickly. Like I just did the number format, the dollar sign, and I did the double click here to get the column to be as big as it needs to be. Okay, so that's just giving them everybody a 5% raise. So should this first person have gotten 5%? No, they should have gotten 3% because they've only been there 8.17 years. This person, yeah, 5%. This person, oh, just barely 5% because they're just turned 10 years in April. This one, no. This one, yes. This one, no. This one, no. So I'm gonna just get rid of that. So it's neat with the table. You can just click on the top of it and hit delete, or just select it and format it or whatever you want to do. So let's put a formula in. Just click on that first one, cell J6. J6, click on it. Now remember all that stuff? Equals blah, blah, blah. No, 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 no. You don't have to do any of that. Yay. I should turn my light on here. Ooh, I didn't want to have that on when I was in my session, my 4-hour session this morning. I'm going to go to the FX button. Tell me if you can see the FX button. The FX button is your insert function. Rest your mouse, insert function. Make sure you're on the cell where you want your formula. This is what you're going to use to help build formulas. I see if right there. I am looking at my most recently used functions. You may or may not have that. You know that you do have a scroll bar there. I use if a lot. In fact, I was using it yesterday, so of course it's going to be there for me. If you don't have it, change your category to all. Change it to all. You got over 500 functions here. We're going to be talking about one of them today. I'm going to click on one of those functions. I'm going to start to type if. It takes me to that spot. Okay. Steps. Go to your cell, J6, hit your FX. If you see if, fine. If not, go to your category, all. Click on one of them. Just start to type IF or even just I. It'll take you to that spot in your list. Okay. Now this is our little helper here to build this formula. And notice at the top in your formula bar, it's already started with all of the gobbledygook, the equals and the brackets, and it'll have commas. You don't have to worry about any of that. Yay. Easy to do formulas. So what are the 3 things it's asking for? What are we testing for? And then what do you want to do if it's a yes, if it's true? And what if it's false? So my sweater example, you're not going to type this in because it's kind of silly. If is it cold? Wear sweater. Otherwise, no sweater needed. It's going to give me errors if I do that, right? But this is how simple this is. The test is the question, and the true and the false are the actions based on the answer to the question. So if we really wanted to do this in a spreadsheet and you actually had a cell there with the temperature, let's say that this years of service is a temperature, I would say if this cell is greater than or equal to No, let's go backwards on that because the wear sweater means it's cold. If it's less than 10, 15, we're doing so that's this guy, less than 50. We're doing Celsius here. Sorry, Donna. Donna's in Arizona. If the temperature is less than 15, wear a sweater. Otherwise, no sweater needed. I'm just going to put this in. It's kind of silly. There you go. So it's 8 degrees, wear a sweater. It's 16 degrees, don't need one. 10 degrees, wear one, wear one. No, 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 no. That's how simple it is. I'm going to go back in there and I'm going to go FX again. I'm going to make, you know what? I'm just going to select that whole thing and delete it. So I just wanted to give that goofy little thing as a just kind of a simple exercise, a simple example. So I'm going to go back to it. I deleted it. I'm going to go and get an if again, and we're going to do it for real this time. Notice I'm still looking at all of my categories. If I go most recently used, if is right there. So if you've been following along and you did if the first time with me and you did the whole process, then you just need to go back and go most recently used if. Some people prefer to just watch and do it later, and that's fine too. So here we go. So now we're going to do it for real. For reals. So what are we doing? What is the test? Well, sometimes it's easier to do the actions. What is the action for the people? For the people who've been there more than 10 years, we're going to give them a raise of 5%. Otherwise, 3%. That's your true and your false. How are we determining? And I want you guys to type in, you don't need to use cell names and all that, but how are we determining if they got a 5% or a 3% raise? What would the test be? And here's a big cheat right there. It's telling us. So how are we going to determine if they got a 5% or a 3%? Basically, it's our long-term employees, right? So what columns, what cells are we using? Just tell me in your own words. No? Okay. So it would be our years of service. We're going to compare our years of service to 10. So we're going to click here where it says logical test, and we're going to go years of service. Just the first one. Don't click on the words years of service. We're going to click on that 8.17. So just think, hey, this Carrie person, does she get the 5% or the 3%? Don't worry about those formulas yet. So is that 8.1? Does she get the 5% or 3%? Well, you're comparing it to the 10 years, and what are you doing in your head? In my little head, I'm saying, well, there's that 8.17. Is it greater than or equal to 10? Yes or no? Is the temperature greater than or equal to 10? Yes or no? Right? Is the traffic good or bad? Right? Like, yeah, it's not a really good one. It has to be a yes or a no, basically. So are the years of service at 8.17, is it greater than or equal to 10? If it was, you're going to put the formula there. You're going to say, okay, if it is, even though it isn't in this example, but we're going to drag this formula down, so it's going to look at every single one of them. We have to put both actions in. We're going to take that 5,000, that's their salary. We're going to multiply it by 5%. That's what we're going to do if the years of service for that line is greater than or equal to 10. Does everybody understand that? Please say yes. Yep. So good faith, 3% they get, right? We still have to put the 5% in. So value of false, salary times 3%. So we put both instances in. Why do we put both in? Why wouldn't we just put the 3% in? That's what this one is. Will this 8.17 ever change? Actually, there's a cool formula in there. And in a couple of years, they will be at 10 years. So then you would want that to change. I don't know if you would or not. But in fact, consider any numbers in your spreadsheet will change. Any number, even if you think that will never, ever, ever change, right? 5,000, that'll never change. Yeah, it will. It might. It might. Consider it that it will. And then I want to point one more thing out down here. It's telling us the answer. Now, you may or may not be able to say, oh, yeah, that's right. Um, I don't know off the top of my little brain what 3% of 5,000 is, but you could pick up a calculator and do it, or, this just gives you an idea. And also you'll see here under false here, it's giving you both of them. So it's saying, well, if it's true, it's going to be 250. And if I look at that 5,000, yeah, that makes sense to me because 10% would be 500 and 5% then would be half of that because 5% is half of 10%. I should use 10% in this example. Okay, click OK. And because it's a table, it goes all the way down, right? So 150 for the first person, yeah. Okay, 245. Is that right? Well, if it was 10%, that would be about 320. Um, uh, yeah, well, it is 5%. So yeah, 245. I don't know. Oh, sorry, I'm looking at this. 490. So that, well, it was 250 for the first one. If it did anyway, you can see, what I'm going to do? I'm going to show you this anyway. I'm going to click on that raise and I'm just going to change these numbers. I'm going to click on the FX button and it takes us back in there. I'm going to change that 10% just to make, I know you know why I'm not responsible for managing anybody. I will just change the number so I can check my answers better. So look at this one. The first person would still be getting that 3%. Second person, 490. That's 10% of 4,900. 480, that's 10% of 4,800. I'm just going to change this exercise next time. 300 is 10%. So just for the purposes of being able to see if those numbers worked, right? 105 is not 10% of 3,500. So it worked. So now whenever the salary changes, 6,000, oh, our raise went up. It doesn't really make sense to change the years of service because that is a formula based on the start date, which is actually a really cool formula if you're interested in that, right? So, but if it did happen where, let's say, oh, it's actually they started in 2020. Oopsie. I didn't mean to make it they started in 2000. In 2000, that's what I meant to do. They're 25 years. Now they get 6,000. That's the 10%. Give me an example, you guys, of something like that, where you're going in and manually saying, "Oh, okay, for this one, type, type, type. Okay, for this one, type, type, type. For this one, type, type, type." Right? Are you doing that with anything in your spreadsheets right now, or anything in life, really? Could be a word table, right? And you can compare numbers to like cells to numbers, or you could be comparing cells to other cells. So I could be saying, well, if let's say it was something like accounts receivable, where maybe column E is what they owe, okay? Column E is what they owe, and column J is what they've paid, right? Like because of this person made a $600 deposit on that 600. So you could be saying if if E is less than J, right? So is 6,000 less than 600? No. Do you know what I mean? Like, actually, in that case, I'd probably just, man, I don't know what I'd do. I'd probably have a balance column, like an amount owing column, and I would just say if the amount owing column is equal to 0, means they don't owe anything, right? There's just so much that we could do with this. All right, we're going to do a little bit with text now. So instead of a formula, we're going to do some text. So if I just flip back over to employees if comp, we just want it to say senior or not senior. Okay, senior or not senior. We're going to use the age column. And it's actually a formula as well. It's kind of neat. So senior citizen, we're going to click on cell K6. We're going to go to our most recently used here, little FX button, most recently used. Good. And we're going to say, okay, what's our test here? Is this first person a senior? Yes or no? How are we doing that? Well, we're taking the age and we're comparing it with if it's greater than or equal to 65. Okay, so I just want to stop there for a second because we're probably not going to do this, but if if it was text that we were comparing it to, then we would put it in quotes. So maybe we're saying we're gonna, I don't know, give all the people who are a clerk. So we would do something. If the position is equal to clerk, then say this person needs a raise. Otherwise, no raise needed. I don't know, right? I want to use a text example. So I want you to think about that, right? Or what would be a better one? Maybe instead of the whole raise idea, this person needs an office. Okay. If we don't want anything there, we would just push the space bar once. To now we know all the clerks need an office. So I just want to give you some ideas of some stuff that you can work with here. Delete that. Let's go back. What's the formula, guys? If what? How are we determining if they're a senior? If the age is greater than or equal to 65, not 655, then we want senior because that's the yes. Are they over? Yes. Otherwise, what do we do? Spacebar. Sorry, I had a little tickle this morning from talking so much. So now we have it. 52-year-olds, not a senior, not a senior, not a senior. Oh, 69-year-old senior, 35, 54. What I don't like about this spreadsheet is if I ever wanted to change the 65, I'd have to go into my formula and do it. I can either do it on my formula bar or I can click on the FX again. So you'll see some of the spreadsheets today that don't have that in there, just like the 10 years and the 3% and the 5%, they'll be in some cells somewhere. But again, I just don't want to complicate that. Okay, that's a little bit about ifs. Any questions? Easy or not? Sometimes I really lose people with the ifs. Easy? Who thinks it's easy? I've got all the formulas in the employees if comp. Now this isn't a table, so it's not like it's looking a little bit different. It's saying G6 and E6 and stuff like that instead of names of like years of service and salary and stuff like that, but it's basically the same formulas. Okay. Yeah, you need to practice for sure. Please practice, and you have this sheet. So go and practice with it. All right. So employees if checkbox. So this one's a little bit different. What we're going to do with this one is the same idea, but we are deciding if the person gets a raise or not. And that might be more realistic. I don't know. Let me go to employees if checkbox comp. This is the idea. So we don't care about years of service. This person, Carrie, absolutely gets a raise, $250. This person, no raise. Oh, really? Let's give Ronald a raise. Come on, man. He's vice president. Puts up with Carrie. Let's give him a raise. Click. Raise. No raise. This is kind of like the first example we gave. Okay, isn't that cool? Come on, you guys. That's cool, right? So we got an if in there. And the other one here is a senior citizen. Now I can't even click there. How come? How come I can't click there? If I click on that cell, I see that there's a formula in there. Let's talk about that one more when we get there. Let's just do this raise one. So employees, if checkbox. How did we do that, Daphne? Select, 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 select. Insert checkbox. Okay. So we've got our checkboxes in there. You can click on it. Of course, nothing's going to happen yet. Nothing's programmed to it. It just says, yep, yep, yep. Give all these people a raise. Okay. I'm going to go to raise amount. So we have an extra column here this time. I'm going to go to the FX, if, most recently used, if, logical test. What's the test this time? If the checkbox is checked or not. So basically, if J6 is what? Who remembers? What does it mean if it's turned on? If it's checked, what does that mean? What is the value? True. If J6 is true, that means it's turned on. That means they get a raise. Let's do the 10% again. 10% times what? Their salary. Oops, I don't think I did times. Times their salary. Otherwise, this case, well, you could do the 3%. Well, no, because that would mean they wouldn't be getting, why are you checking raise then? I think it's just zero, right? Because if they don't get a raise, if that box is clear, they got zero. They don't get a raise. It's not like, oh, 5% for these guys and 3% for those guys. That's not it. Okay, I don't have a table, so I'm going to have to drag that down. Okay, why didn't that work? Why didn't that work? Because none of these are checked. So don't think that just because you got a bunch of zeros that it didn't work. Look at your data. So now everybody who has the check gets a raise. Any questions with that one? How's that? Love that one. That one might be more realistic than the other one, right? Cool. Cool. Yay. Okay. You might need me to go over that one again. Hit the FX. So this time you're looking at J6 if it's equal to true. Now, I showed you before how when it's words, you had to put quotes on it. Well, true and false are very special words. They don't need the quotes around it, like I did with clerk. It needs that with the word clerk. True is like I think I could have said if could I have said that? If it's one? Yeah, one and zero. One is true and zero is false. I think I could have done that. I think that would have worked. No, it didn't work. Okay, forget it. There is a way. Sometimes the one and the zero does work. Let's just use true. Why would you even use one and that? Yeah, there we go. Okay, there's our numbers back. So that is using the checkbox as a condition. Now this one, senior citizen, what did we want there? We wanted checkboxes. So let's select them, insert checkboxes. Okay. And again, you could sit here and go, okay, this one's a senior. This one's a senior. This one's a senior. You could do that. But then what happens if they are like, where's someone 62 in 3 years? You want that to automatically be checked, right? Because these formulas, it doesn't matter if the formula is generated automatically or if that's just a number. The number could change, right? So what we're going to do, and this is where it's really, Margaret, shouldn't we have a formula for the raise column to automatically insert a check mark? In the other scenario, yes. In this one, it's either yes or no, they're getting one. Um, we're checking it off here. If you're saying everybody that's more than 10 years gets a raise, then that's different. Yes, and absolutely you could, kind of like the senior citizen one that we're getting to. But in this case, we're just arbitrarily saying, yeah, you know what? Michael does a really good job, so Michael gets it. So in this scenario, I don't think that we would have that. In the other scenario, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I hope I got your question right. Let me know. And that's what we're going to do with this one. We're going to have it automatically check if something. So think about that um, uh, that's that scenario. That's what we would do here. So senior citizen, this was beautiful about checkboxes is that it has a value, false, but we're actually going to slide a formula on this cell as well. We're going to slide it kind of right underneath it, sort of. So we're going to go to cell L6. We're going to go to the FX. We're going to go if, and we're going to say if the age is greater than or equal to 65, what's the action going to be? What's the action going to be, guys? Think about, I'll put this down a little bit. We're doing the right now we're wanting that box to either be checked or not checked. We're programming that box. So we don't want the words senior or whatever. We could, but we wouldn't have put a checkbox in there if that was the case. So that's what we did in the last one. Yeah, is it Sharon? I see S. Hughes. Is it Sharon? I can't remember. I'm sorry. That's exactly it. True. And false. Sandra, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Change your change your Zoom name. Um, you're just an S. You're just an S Hughes to me right now. True and false. So isn't this cool? True and false. So the first one is false because there are 52. Look at that. Isn't that cool? So it changes the behavior of that. And we can't click on it. We can say, you're a senior. You're a senior. No, we can't. We can say, yes, you raise. So in the employee ifs, we could have done that here. We could have had another column that said, yes, this person gets a raise because they're over 10 years. Not really though, because they got 5% or 3% in this scenario, right? That's what we were doing there. Everybody gets a raise in this scenario. But if we had said they only get a raise if they're if they're over 10 years, then we could have absolutely done that. So yes, they get a raise. And then what is the raise amount? We could have done that. And I should be making all of these a table, because then when we did our first one, boom, it would have copied them all down. That was just Control T to make it a table. Looks a little nicer. Anonymous. Okay. Any questions? Okay. So I have a exercise for you guys. I have an exercise. So we have 15 minutes left. Golf, if. Oh boy, that one is already filled in. I did not clear that one out. No, sorry. That's the completed one. Yeah, there we go. Sorry. Golf if, not golf if comp. This one, we need one, two, three ifs. I don't know if we'll have time for all of this, but golf checkbox. So I'll just look at the golf checkbox if comp. That's kind of exactly the same thing as that we just did. Let's do that one. Let's do that one because it gives you a chance to practice your checkboxes and your ifs. Whereas if we just did golf if, that only gives you a chance to practice your ifs. And you can do whatever you want. You can do it, but we could go over this one together. So just what it looks like, golf, checkbox, if, comp. So column E is just like how we were giving people raises. Yeah, this guy's new. Oh, he just got off the phone. Sean, are you new? Yeah, I'm new, right? I mean, so not this is like new to our club or something like that, right? They're not a returning player, is what I'm meaning. Were you here last year, Spencer? Yeah. No, you weren't. Okay, you're new. Dustin, were you here last year? Yes. So you're not new. So you're just click, 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 ing. And then the next one, column F, is they're getting they're getting different rates based on if they're new or not. So insert some check boxes. for column E, and you're probably supposed to be on the golf checkbox if. So put some checkboxes in here and then do an if, and then just click, click, click a few of them. If you want, you can go to the golf checkbox if, and you just select all those and copy them. Then there'll be a bunch of them already, already copy a bunch of them. And then that'll be kind of good sample data for you. Paste them in there. So now you have some to play with. You don't have to go click, 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 although it's not that much work. And then do a formula. Make it a table first. Is that clear? Am I confusing anybody? Right, how it goes really big. So then do a formula here that says if they're a new player, then the fee is 500. Otherwise, the fee is 400. So there's not even any formulas. So the end result is either going to be 500. So this one should be 500. This one should be 400. This one should be 400, 500, 500, 400, 400, 500, 500. So I'm going to give you 2 minutes to do that. Let me know when you're done. And certainly, if you want to keep going, keep going. Column G is the same idea, but now the discount, you're just pulling in the discount, like you're calculating the discount. Not, I don't want to see 10%, 0%. I want to see the actual discount, like $50 or zero. Discount for new people is 10%. So in that first one, it should be $50. So for the returning player, it should be zero. And I'm going to do this. I'm going to show you the answers so that you can see if you're getting it and not getting it, if you're getting the right answer. Okay. And I will go over all of these as well. And after being in a class for the last 3 days, I got lost a couple of times. I'm going to admit it. And thankfully, they're going to send me the recording of this and everything that they did. Like my Excel was hung up at one point and they just kept going. And I'm like, I'm lost. I did catch up, but I lost everything that they were talking about, right? Like they were talking about a bunch of stuff and I was like just trying to catch up. So I understand that. So please know I will redo this in a couple of minutes that you will have it on the recording on the YouTube. So, and then the last one here is what we did with the senior one. We're saying if they're less than the 10 years. And I should also point out about the absolute references. Yeah. Again, I'm hoping you're a little bit familiar with Excel to know about these formulas. I shouldn't have put the age in there. Shouldn't have typed the age in there. I should have put cell M10 or whatever. Okay, how you doing? How you guys doing? Wanted you to play just a little bit with it. Okay. Yeah, sure, Faye. And I'm gonna do it here right away too. How are the rest of you doing? Do you want me to do a demo of it now? There's 9 minutes left. And I also want you to be thinking about um, the idea of what I want some suggestions for next month, Free Friday. I had conditional formatting on there. Oh, I can fill up an hour of that. I love conditional formatting. Oh my gosh, don't get me started on conditional formatting. Um, And that, if you're not familiar with that, that it's actually a really good segue into this because you could have things like, oh, I want if they're new, I want it to turn blue, or well, that's not very good in this example, red or something, right? So you're comparing, or I want to see the top 10 or the top 3 or something like that. Okay, so I'm going to go to the golf checkbox if I made it into a table, Control T, just to make it a little bit easier. And I inserted. I actually just copied and pasted them, but you're not always going to have a chance. Oh, you know what I'll do to do that? I'll go here to where it says Pro because we are going to need to put in some checkboxes there. And again, when you're kind of at the top, not right on the J, because that gets all these extra ones. If you're new to tables, then just go to the top of that. See how it changes to that same kind of arrow? Tables are a whole new world if you haven't. This might be a good plug for my videos that I have. $49 a month for my Excel videos. Uh, insert checkboxes. There they are. Okay, we'll come back to that one. All right, so put those in for column E. I did a copy and paste from the completed sheet. Fee, based on the newer returning. So I'm going to go FX. I'm going to go most recently used if, otherwise, all, and then if. Okay. All right. What are we doing? What is the test? What are we doing here? I kind of look at my actions first. The actions are either it's going to be 500 bucks or 400 bucks. That's the action. Okay. How are we determining that? If they are a new player, if new player equals true, then 500. Otherwise, 400. Now, did everybody get that step? You might have gotten that step, and that's absolutely perfect. Look at the bottom here. Formula result 500. Is that right for this new player? Yay! That's perfect. Now, here's something. If I click OK, it doesn't work for any of the rest of them, right? It works for the next two because they should be zeros. What about this one? It's 0 too? What? Why? That's a new player. What's the problem? You should watch my Excel level 1 video if that's the case. What's happening is that in my formulas, look at my formula bar here. That M, what did we put in? These guys, M7, I think, 6, 7, 7, is changing to M11 and N11, depending on where I'm at. There I was at. I was on the 11th row. Look at down here. It's on the 18th row. Look at down here. I'm on the 29th row. There's nothing on the 29th row. You need to stay. You need to tell it. Can you please stay at M7 and N7? Right? Don't move. Keep looking at M7 and N7. If you're not really comfortable with Excel, then you might not sort of appreciate that yet. M7, how do we make that absolute? Daphne, yay! F4 puts the dollar signs in. So click there, it puts those dollar signs in. That makes it stay at M7 and N7. Look at that. 500, 400, 400, 500, 500, 400, 400, 500. Yay! I love formatting things. There you go. Okay, good. So that was a kind of a basic Excel sort of thing, and that's what you have to do if you're using uh, these kind of things. We didn't have to in the last one because we were typing the answers right in. But if you want it to stay there, and the beauty of this is, we're going to up it to 600. Bam, 600s, 400s. Can change the 400 as well. Change it to 500 every year that goes up, whatever. Control Z, Control Z, just to undo that. Okay, good. And there we go. Discount, same idea. Except this time we're going to do a formula in there. So we're going to say FX if, we're going to say the fee. No, we're not. We're going to say new player equals true. So are they a new player? Doesn't matter yet. 500 or whatever's in column F times, I hit that before and it didn't work. What is wrong? Oh, there it is. There it is. What's going on here? Oh my goodness. What is going on with my keyboard? I'm just going to hit star. times the discount for the new people. And what do I need to do? What do I need to hit? F4. It's so slow. Wow. Um, that's the discount. So if they're new, they're going to get 10% off, which is $50. Otherwise, they're going to take this guy and multiply it by this guy, F4, and click OK. Okay, so is that right? I'm just going to do both of those. So first person is new, they get $50. Second person, third person, not new, 0, 0. Why didn't I just put 50 or 0? Well, because these might change. 600, now it's 60, right? Maybe we're going to give these guys maybe a 5% discount. Okay. See what I mean? Undo, undo. Okay. So that's an if. It's so big and icky up there to modify it if you need to at all, hit that FX. Okay, last one. And again, please give me some ideas in the chat. Otherwise, we'll do conditional formatting next time. So J6, we want that to be checked or not checked. So we're going to go put your checkboxes in first. If years played is greater than or equal to 10, F4. You need that even in there because you always want it to be looking at that 10. I always have to stop and think, okay, so if it's greater, so the years played, if it's greater than 10, we want that to be true. Otherwise, we want it to be false, right? So in this case, how many years have they been playing? 2 years? Is that greater than 10? No, it's not. So the checkbox is not pro. And this one, it doesn't automatically go down. So I'm going to have to do that because it's values, I guess. So let's see. 2, not professional. 4, not professional. 8, not professional. Oh, 10. Yay. He just is professional. 8. None of these guys. Oh, there's a couple down here. 11 and 15. Oh, there's a 12. That looks a little bit better than this one over here, didn't it? Rookie, pro, rookie, pro, rookie, pro. And we did learn how we could say instead of rookie, we could just have a space. So it would be space, 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 pro, space, 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 pro, pro. But you guys like that better? Kind of cool, hey? That takes me to the top of the hour. Wow. Any questions? What do you guys think? I hope that was fun for you. Please explore my website. I do have the tip of the day on my website. I hope that just knowitsooner.com. I'm sure you all have it. Every day it changes. And I have a whole book on these. I have a whole book of those. They're available on Amazon. They're available as a download. Here's some samples of them if you want. Digital download. Um, I have courses in training. I've spent so much time on these. There's some free resources. There's also look at the online training. I've really done a lot to that page lately. Live webinars are ones like this. We don't have any public ones right now running. I keep offering them. I get like 2 people. So then I'm like, it's so much work. I'd like 5 people. Videos. These are the ones that I have free videos on there. YouTube, Golden Nuggets, please go and try those. Here's where you'll find the recording of today's session. And then I have some subscription ones. This is how I pay my bills, guys. And they're cheap. Like you get all of these for $49 a month. So please go in and try those. Or like I was saying before, please contact us for if you want us to come and speak to your group. I do have one last thing, events. So I don't think today's isn't even on there anymore. I am doing lots of seniors training lately. So if you're around Edmonton and you know a senior, send them to Spruce Grove on May 13th, just next week. My goodness. And I am doing some in some other rural areas as well. So if you want to talk to me about setting up something like that for your area, whether it's in person or as a online like this, then let me know that as well. Thank you, Donna. Good Faye. Good Sandra. Good to see you guys again. Cynthia, how are you? Yay. Good, good. Yeah, Daphne, are you Daphne from the mine? I didn't even look. I'm going to shut the recording off for now.